We all know the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. However, the best part of waking up never came for Abigail Folger. She was born into privilege, the heiress to America's favorite morning ritual. Coffee ran in her blood, but on a warm August night in 1969, that blood would spill onto the manicured lawn of a Hollywood Hills estate. Mingled not with cream or sugar, but with fear, with chaos, with death. This is not a story about coffee. It's a story about illusion, the illusion of safety. It's about innocence lost in the glare of celebrity, the shadows of cult ideology, and the deadly grip of one of man's apocalyptic illusions. I'm your host, Jace, and this is Bloodstained Backstories. Tonight's episode is Brewing with Darkness, the murder of Abigail Folgers. Abigail Ann Folger was born on August 11th, 1943, in San Francisco, California, a city known for its foggy hills and colorful counterculture. But Abigail came from a very different world, the polished world of wealth, etiquette, and expectations. Her father was Peter Folgers, the chairman of Folger Coffee Company, a name that filled American households with the aroma of success. Her mother, Inez, was a socialite and devoted Catholic. They divorced when Abigail was still a child. She grew up surrounded by art, music, and rigid codes of high society. She played piano beautifully, she painted, and she read voraciously. And she was more than a debutante. Abigail was brilliant. She graduated from Radcliffe College with honors, one of the most prestigious women's institutes in the country. Then she attended Harvard, earning a degree in art history. By her early 20s, she could have lived a life of leisure, but Abigail wanted something more meaningful. She worked at the University of California's Art Museum in Berkeley, but the glamour of museum halls soon gave way to a more rugged path. She moved to New York City, took a humble job in a bookstore, then became a social worker, helping the impoverished in Harlem's toughest neighborhoods. She walked the streets most heiresses avoided entirely. And it was in New York, in the summer of 1969, that she met someone who would change her life forever. Wojtek Frykowski. Wojtek was a Polish writer and aspiring actor who had recently emigrated to the United States. He barely spoke English, so they communicated in French since she was a native speaker. Abigail was drawn to him, his charm, his European flair, his connection to Roman Polanski, one of the hottest directors in Hollywood. Polanski was married to actress Sharon Tate. Within months, Abigail and Wojtek were driving cross country to Los Angeles. They were young, in love, rebellious in their polished ways. They rented a house together in Los Angeles, and Abigail, always drawn to service, volunteered in the rough neighborhoods again. She supported the Hot Ashbury Free Medical Clinic, where she may have unknowingly crossed paths with members of the Manson family. At this time, many of Charles Manson's followers were receiving treatment at that clinic. But those connections were circumstantial. No one, not even Abigail, could have predicted the storm that was brewing. On April 1st, 1969, Abigail and Wojtek moved into a house that would soon become infamous. 10050 CeeLo Drive. They were house sitting for Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate. The home sat above Benedict Canyon, secluded, beautiful, and secure. Or so they thought. Sharon Tate, now nearly 9 months pregnant, returned from Europe that July. Roman stayed behind to finish pre-production on a film. Abigail and Wojtek remained to keep her company. And their relationship, it was strained. Police records and friends described their relationship as filled with arguments. Wojtek was unemployed and reportedly relying heavily on Abigail's money. Vincent Bogolosi The prosecutor, who would later bring the Manson family to justice, wrote that Wojtek regularly used cocaine, LSD, marijuana, and mescaline. Abigail's therapist believed that she was preparing to leave him. That summer, during one of their final sessions, she had spoke clearly. She was ready for change. But that change came, and it wasn't what she expected. It was August 8th, 1969. Abigail called her mother around 10 p.m. from the house on CeeLo Drive. She said she booked a flight to San Francisco the next morning. They chatted and said goodnight. Abigail went to the guest bedroom, slipped into her white nightgown, and began reading. Wojtek dozed on the couch nearby. Also in the house that night, hairdresser Jay Sebring, a former fiance of Sharon Tate, and of course Sharon herself, radiant, glowing, and due to give birth in just 2 weeks. At around midnight, the killers arrived. 4 of them, sent by Charles Manson with the simple directive: go to that house and kill everyone. Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Caspian, the lookout, arrived at the house. They cut phone lines, climbed the hill, entered the grounds, and what happened next was beyond horror. Jay Sebring was the first to die, shot and then stabbed. The chaos exploded. Abigail, according to testimony, saw Susan Atkins walk past her in the bedroom. She waved, mistaking her for a friend, and moments later Susan returned holding a buck knife. She ordered Abigail to the living room, and there all 4 victims were bound, and then they were attacked. In the chaos, Abigail broke free, and she wrestled with Patricia Krenwinkel. She ran barefoot, bloodied, desperate, down the hall, out the doors, and across the lawn. But she didn't get very far. Krenwinkel tackled her outside the house, and Tex Watson joined in, and together they stabbed Abigail 28 times. According to the killers, her final words were haunting. I give up. You've got me. I'm already dead. Her white nightgown was soaked, red, not white, and was unrecognizable. The carnage continued inside. By the end of the night, 5 people, including an unborn child, were dead. The following morning, police were left stunned by the brutality. The crime scene at CeeLo Drive shocked even hardened detectives. Messages scrawled in blood, victims strewn across the estate. Hollywood and the nation recoiled. Abigail's body was flown home to San Francisco. Her funeral was held on August 13th, 1969, just 2 days later, after what would have been her 26th birthday. The service was conducted in the very church her grandparents helped to build. She was laid to rest in Holy Cross Cemetery in Coloma, California. At the time of her death, Abigail's estate was estimated at over $500,000, including cash, securities, and real estate. She had no will. Her father filed a probate petition days later. And what of the killers? Patricia Krenwinkel, the woman who attacked and stabbed Abigail, has been in prison ever since. She has been denied parole more than 15 times. Her next hearing is scheduled for May of 2025. Tex Watson, convicted of 7 murders, remains incarcerated in California. Susan Atkins died in prison in 2009. Charles Manson, the man who never lifted a knife but orchestrated it all, died in 2017, still believing in his delusions. But this episode isn't about those murders. It's about remembering those who were lost. And Abigail Folger was more than just a name in a crime scene report. She was an Ivy League graduate, a philanthropist, a woman who gave her time, her heart, and her energy to helping others, even when she could have easily stayed comfortable. In remembering Abigail Folger, we remember the light that shone in dark places, a woman who believed in art, in love, in healing, who, in the end, deserves so much more than the footnote of the bloody chapters of history that were left for her. Abigail was the heir to a coffee empire, but that August night brewed something far darker. And we are left with the chilling truth. Sometimes, even the most privileged lives can be swallowed by darkness when the wrong people come knocking. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Bloodstained Backstories. Don't forget to follow us on social media and share your thoughts with us. Let us know in the comments below. Should Patricia Kenwrinkle be granted parole after 55 years behind bars, or should she remain in prison along with the echoes of that night? Let us know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Subscribe to us or follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you tune in your favorite podcasts. And if you found this episode even haunting, leave us a review. Join us next week for another episode. Until then, stay safe, stay curious, and remember, the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.